crowned by the king. Yeah, we crowned by the king. Yeah, we crowned. Had to get to work, had to stop all the chit chat. Too many talents, can't waste them. Yeah, that's big facts. Making kingdom moves, standing on business like me, Shaq. Aiming for our goals, clear clack. Moving forward, no need to reach back. Tell me where I need to preach at. Tell me where I need to speak at.
All right, we are back with another episode of the CROWNEDCAST Podcast. As always, my name is Joseph Honeyset, and with me is my incredible co-host, Mr. Joel Engulu. How are you doing today, sir?
Man, it's a great day. It's going to be a powerful episode, and so I'm excited. Yeah, so short answer, blessed and highly favored.
Blessed and highly favored on this Monday morning, man. I love it. We have the honor today of having somebody from across the pond join us here on the CROWNEDCAST. This is a gentleman that, we just got to know, but I can tell he actually cares about change, cares about results, and cares about effort and overall the person. We're going to talk about things like ethical sales. We're going to talk about how to become a high ticket closer. And, this is a gentleman who helps people all over the world have 5-figure months as a salesperson, as a high ticket closer. So without further ado, I want to bring to the CROWNEDCAST Mr. Connor Williams. How are you doing today, sir?
Yeah, I'm sharing the blessed day as we all are. And it's great to be here.
Absolutely. Let's do it. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it, man. So the question I have for you to begin, give us your testimony, man. Give us your story. You can talk about when you started as a child. You can, however you want to talk about. This is your time to shine, but tell us who Connor Williams is. Like, tell us your journey from the corporate world. I know you mentioned that, all the way to where you are now with sales.
Yeah, well, today I'm a high ticket closing mentor. So I help people to not only become high ticket closers, but to see success in that space on top of consulting for online businesses, helping them to grow sales teams. So that's how my time is split 50-50 at the moment. But the background, the story where I come from is, in one word, a lot of failure. A lot of hardship, a lot of lessons to learn and things to overcome. I was in the military, fresh out of kind of high school and college. So I had a little bit of a stint in a call center day job, and wanted to wait till I was 18, join the military, which I know you guys obviously respect, sometimes more than people in the UK. So I always love speaking to Americans about military history. There's always a nice conversation there. But yeah, frontline deployed in 2012 to Afghanistan, 3 months on the front line. So, a lot of stuff that kind of built me as a person there. But after the army, I wanted to seek a little bit more of an individual path. I wanted to see what I was personally capable of. So I got into sales. And it was a nice change when you're in the army. There's so much to love, the boys you're with, the things you experience. But as entrepreneurs, I'm sure you guys can appreciate, sometimes it's tough to be in that environment where you can work the hardest or the least hardest and you're given the same. Sometimes we have that responsibility that we want to push, we want to do more and see the results from that. So sales was a nice segue for me. It was directly, given that I could get the most if I worked the hardest. And I loved that. But there was so much limitations with corporate sales. You're not really treated with the respect that you deserve sometimes because you're the hardest working people in that business. Like 12, 14, 15-hour days, and you're given such a small piece of the pie. Honestly, there was one role I had where I sold 16 millions worth of property, and that's not for a real estate agent. That was for an actual property developer. So, I was making them 16 mil. If you sell 16 mil in property, you don't make your property company 16 mil. They have like agency fees, right? Small percentage. And I got paid 40K for that. So I was valued at 0.25%.
Dang.
So I think it was, accumulation of roles like that kind of made me realize that I need to be the one leading these systems. I know I don't hold, I like to take accountability and responsibility. So I can't sit in a position like that and blame the business because someone has spent their hard work building it up to that stage. And you got to respect that. So rather than, be mad about it, and moan about it and turn into one of these kind of almost toxic people. All they do is moan about their situation. I've always been someone who wants to do something about it. So I tried to grow a business, and I thought I'm going to be a millionaire because I have this idea. I'm a weirdly shaped guy. I'm an upside down triangle. I got big shoulders and a smaller waist. So I was like, right, I'm going to do tailored clothing. I'm going to sell tailored clothing online where you could put your exact measurements in, get these custom ordered clothes. And I thought the idea was genius, but my execution was not. So I got like a 20 grand bank loan out, and that's after being about $1,500 in an overdraft. So I got this big loan out, not even being in a great financial position because I was so certain I would make this work, but I failed. 2 years of my life gone, maybe about $1,000 I earned back. So I was like, right. And then I tried trading. You see all these people doing well at that. Same story. Put a lot of effort in, a lot of time, money, and didn't really get anywhere with that. And I realized the problem was me. It wasn't these business models, because other people had made it within them. So it was me, and I took 1.5 years out really addressing me. I got into some therapy because of the army, because of other stuff. I put myself on a path of discipline. I used to get up very early in the morning, have a routine, and I used to spend a lot of time really figuring myself out. What's going on? Why do I keep hitting these destructive walls? Getting myself out of the negative habits of drinking too much every single weekend. It was like 3 times a week. All of my resources went into this, not the things that I said mattered. So it was at that point that I started to build myself up financially again. I felt I was in a good position to go out there, make something work. And it was actually funny. It was like a week after I'd made this decision to try something. I was looking into different things. I got home one day, and I walked into my house, and I immediately passed out. And I looked up, and there was thick black smoke everywhere, and I realized there was a fire in my house, and everything that I owned was gone.
Oh, wow.
I felt like, there's a big moment. But honestly, I look back and I feel like that was a defining moment that made me finally realize my mind was where I needed it to be. So it took me about 5 minutes to realize I cannot do anything about this. All I can do is rebuild. And the previous version with me would have been like blaming, this, that. And I was like, no, you got to take the accountability. This has happened. What can I do about it? So a small stint after that of obviously rebuilding literally the house and myself again, financially, all those things. COVID happened, and then I got fired. And I'm like, right, come on. But I realized, right, this is that sign. I got to figure it out. I got to work something for myself. So I decided to start a marketing agency, because at the time I was selling marketing services. I was struggling through COVID to obviously get it launched and get things sorted out. And I actually joined a course to help me with that agency, learn some lessons off someone, much like you guys do, much like I do. Why go through the hardship and spend more time, effort, and money when you can learn from someone who's done it themselves? So I joined the course. I got like a website client for my first ever client. They paid me like 18 grand to build them a website, when most people in the space struggle to sell it for $1,000. They paid me like 2.5 grand a month to run their ads after that, which was pretty much my salary. So at that point I knew that I'm never going to be an employee again. And that was my big first hurdle. And the agency didn't go up and up and up, as you know, in business. You think when you have a few good months, it's going to be linear. It went up, it went down. And it was mainly because I didn't really enjoy the fulfillment. I didn't enjoy the thing I was doing. I'd done it for the rewards, not the thing itself. But then an opportunity came up to sell the program that I joined. I was in their community, and they're like, right, I need someone to help me out with my sales because we're growing. And I thought I could do both, manage both, because I'm good at sales. And within 3 months of doing that, they actually brought me on to coach their students in sales as well, because they needed a coach. So I started closing, I started coaching, and I started to realize that was where my passions lie. That I was earning a lot more money doing it. I was spending less time doing it. And like I said, more importantly, I enjoyed it more. Seeing people come through the same kind of journey as you, being able to teach them your skills, it kind of gives you the confidence that what you're talking about actually makes sense.
Right.
So a couple of years into that, I started to do what I came there to do. 20K months as a high ticket closer. I was traveling the world. I was only really spending about 4 or 5 hours a day on the actual closing. And I got my close rate up to about 75%, 60 to 75% was my average. So I really dedicated the time I spent in there to honing my skills, to being the best at something, because I was seeing the results of that, and it was an exciting time. But then I also saw there's this next step that I got to make. I can't keep just being the same. I don't want to be the small piece. I want to be leading something. I want to be building something. I want to be able to help people on the same journey as me. Entrepreneurs who want to build these big businesses, they want to do these big things, but that first step of a whole business is sometimes too much. You have to learn so many skills. You have to do so many things. And it's so overwhelming, especially if you're trying to manage a day job. So if you can find a way to replace your income, learn a valuable skill as an entrepreneur, and give yourself a bit more time freedom, that gives you the basis to go on to bigger things later down the line. And that's even what I tell my students, like, hey, I don't expect you to be high ticket closers for the next decade. And when you're ready to take that next step, I'm always going to help you out. But that was how we kind of arrived at today. So for the last couple of years, I've been training people to become closers. I've been consulting in the space, so building people's sales teams, and really experiencing how to lead a business forward, and how to help people, how to build a community where we all kind of work together. We've all got that same goal, and this is what I love, being around these people, being able to help them, but also seeing them help each other out, be there for each other, building together. So that's where we end up today.
No, that's awesome, man. I firstly, thank you for your service, man. We can definitely bond on that. I'm prior Air Force, so I do appreciate.
I'm going to save my jokes if you say Air Force. Army and Air Force, historic.
Hey, man, y'all will be calling us for some help.
Nothing. Yeah, well, we did. Trust me, we did. Hey, there's nothing more satisfying than when there's things flying over your head and you hear that Apache in the distance, and they are going to be gone in 2 minutes. Yeah, so man,
close air support. Yeah, man.
Oh. Yeah, that's what the beauty of it. We have banter. We all obviously have this joke, but we work so well together, and like that. That's what I miss about it.
Exactly. Yeah, there's nothing like it. The camaraderie and everything, and even the experiences you have, the good and the bad ones. Like you get affected in the things that you see, but there's great resources, man. And I like your story because it's similar to mine. Right, getting out of the military and then going towards your dreams. That's cool. So, thank you for sharing that. What did you when you joined the military in the UK? Did you think you were going to do that for the rest of your life, or did you did and then in the middle of your contract, did you just like, man, I want something better than this. I need something more. I'm a dreamer. Like, what was your path?
Do you know what? I didn't enter. I mean, I was 17 years old when I decided to join. It's not a quick process to join and then actually, sign up. Most people take about a year and a half to go through the full thing. I was kind of started walking in the career office to, actually getting there 6 months, I think, time to time. So at 17 years old, I wasn't thinking about the rest of my life. I was thinking about the things that I want to fix now, the things I want to do now. And the deployment was the big thing. I wasn't there to do anything else than serve, because I saw documentaries and videos of the people who were out there, and like that's the one thing I couldn't get past. I was like, wow, like I couldn't believe what these people were doing. Like the people nowadays are doing this stuff, and I was like, hey, why can't that be me? I got this much respect for them. I should be with them. So I didn't really think past that long term. And when I finished deployment, I came back. I was actually assigned to be the battalion PT. So only like 3 odd people a year are assigned to go to this course. About 50% fail out. So I was a battalion PT, and I wanted to do that. I was like, well, I love fitness. This makes so much sense for me. But when I came back, I was meant to be on a promotional cadre, and they took me off it because I wanted to leave that unit and go to the main PT unit. And that's when I kind of realized, okay, this isn't your path. Like you have to be picked and chosen and do exactly as, and that's never really been me. So yeah, I think what you said is like, I have bigger aspirations. I have other things that I want to do. And I don't think for a lifetime of service, those things are going to align. So yeah, I had to make that decision, which it wasn't an easy one, as I'm sure it went for yourself, right?
No, for me, it actually was an easy decision. For me, I just knew the results from what I was doing in the Air Force were never going to give me the results that I truly desired. Yeah. Like for me, like, I got in at 20 years old. I'm a Porsche guy. I love Porsches. For me, that's always been my dream car. And like, that was the lens I was looking in. When I got into the Air Force, I'm like, I got my first couple paychecks. I'm like, I'm never going to get my Porsche doing this.
Nah.
And although that's like a materialistic like goal to hit, for me, it's deeper of abundance and being able to do something out of nothing, right? So like I don't want to stretch to get my Porsche. I want to be able to just get it, right? And so that was for me the transition, and it was easy for me. Just my personality. I don't like the structure of things and having to answer to somebody every single day, right?
Yeah, that's what I found.
I'm a driver.
Trouble. I was always in trouble. I was always getting I was always the last one out of bed. I was always, it's really funny, like making your bed, ironing, all this stuff that is mandatory. Otherwise, we used to get our weekends taken away and like punishments and even money taken away. I never really did it when I was in the military, but when I went through that 2 years of kind of fixing my mindset, I used to wake up every day at the same time at 4 a.m. I used to make my bed every day. I used to, be religiously disciplined, but it was because it was my choice. That's really the difference.
And it teaches you great discipline, like you were talking about in your story. Is you chose the path of discipline. And I love that you chose that word, because like discipline is hard sometimes, right? Like, but
that's the point.
What's that?
But that's the point, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you already had that instilled into you from the military, because you don't have a choice, especially in the Army. Y'all don't have a choice. Y'all do all different types of stuff. Would that help you into that next portion of your life? And that's what I wanted to ask. Did the mindset from military to where you're at right now, do you feel like that was a benefit for you from joining the military, being put in these hard and uncomfortable positions?
I think yes, first and foremost, but there's a lot of nuance to that. Yes. That it wasn't so much like this overarching, because I'd done that. I had this super disciplined mindset. I had this. I think that a lot of reasons I struggled with my mindset because of the military, because of the concept of you're a number, you're part of the group. It's not very much like what are you capable as an individual if you work hard. I missed that, and I honestly didn't have big dreams for a long time. It was always I've always pushed. And when I achieve something, I look up. So, like, for example, I remember my last job when I had that kind of mindset break and I was working. Like, one of my dreams was being promoted to manager and having a BMW 3 Series and a 40K salary. Like, that was like a dream I thought that was like a very hard to achieve thing. I've earned more money in a single month. Like, my car's a lot better. Again, it's not just about the material, but like I have worked to get those things that I used to think were impossible. Now on the scale of like 20x what I used to think was possible. It's that concept of if you keep pushing and you make the purpose about the push, as I do now, like I'm going to push to the next stage. And when I get there, I'm going to push to the next. And there's going to be a ceiling on where I push. But I enjoy the progress. And I make that the point rather than feeling empty when you hit these destinations that don't mean as much as you thought they were going to mean.
Absolutely. It's the journey, not the destination.
It's a cliche for a reason,
100%. Hey, brother, that's what I've learned, man. All the cliches in life are actually true, and it's how you should live by.
Yeah, one of the greatest phrases I ever heard was, "It's only when you're ready to learn will the teacher appear."
Yes.
I look at these things and they kind of like white noise, and then there's just that moment that either the right person says it or they say it at the right time, and then it just clicks, and you're like, "Oh wow, now I get it."
Man. I want to talk about like, because when you self-reflect, it's that mindset change. Like, you really go back to your childhood, you start realizing like, man, this will happen. This is the trauma that I need to handle, or this thing that I need to deal with. But for like sales is a skill. You either have it or you can learn it. But from you, can you go back in your childhood and like kind of talk about like, man, sales, you've been kind of groomed your whole life to do what you're doing now. A lot of people don't understand that. They just realize they just go through life and they don't realize that, hey, they're being groomed for who they're going to become, especially when they're ambitious. Like me, for example, I'm in as well. But now when I started self-reflecting, I go back and I used to go to flea markets. I was selling toys. I didn't realize that. So when I got into sales now, I'm like, I've been doing sales my whole life. This is something I've been kind of being trained, but I didn't realize that.
It's really funny you say that. You know, I was actually having a conversation with my mum the other month or something, and she said that you've always had that little thing in you, because we call them car boot sales, like flea markets, car boot, same thing. We've obviously got a weird way of saying it, but I used to apparently just like run around that whole thing trying to sell things like all day. It's like I can make my pocket money in a day. Monthly pocket money in a day. So yeah, I was always happy to kind of do that, put myself out there. But sometimes I've struggled to put myself out there. I think it's just the context in which you do it. When it's always been around business, and I feel like I've got this reason to do it because of that. I've never struggled. Like I've always been able to, but there's always been personal stuff because of self-doubt, and you can link it to childhood, and I think I did for the longest time. But I think that's why I remained stuck for the longest time, because I couldn't look past that. And I think that the way you see things as a child, and if not dealt with, how they compound and they grow, they turn into these big complexes when we're adults. But if you really strip them back, look back, work through them, it's like how a child perceives stuff is going to be different from a rational adult. So I physically couldn't see that from any other way as a child, other than take it to this big, enormous, But then when you do look back, when you grow up, when you realize what life actually is, I think you see it in such a different way. And I think one of the biggest steps in my own maturation, something unfortunately I don't think a lot of people go through, is when you stop seeing mum and dad as mum and dad and you see them as people. Yes, they weren't perfect, but if you look back, did they do the best with what they had? If you were in the exact same boat, would you do things much differently? And it's that empathy you have to play towards them, because when you grow up and you're past the age that they were at when they were doing these things, and you think, I'm not gonna lie, my life's pretty stressful, and I do lose it a little bit, and I haven't even got like 2 kids running about, so you really do look at it in a different light. And I feel like you can let go and move past and let go of those things that do hold you on from childhood. That for me, it's like anger was so bad, and like I said, the military compounded that. It wasn't just the military; it was like a group of things. But when I started to process first the military, but then I had to go back a little bit more, and it was like, oh, okay. Once you can kind of let go of that, kind of let go of it altogether. So yeah, I think that there's a big tie into a lot of things. I think there was a little bit of that natural salesman in me, flogging the old toys at a car boot. But, I do think a lot of it was taught and learned as well.
Right. It's like you have a natural gift, but you gotta start working. Natural gift will take you so far, but when you put that work in, it's like now you're like the king at that skill.
Yeah. Do you know what? I've always had this kind of viewpoint around the things that you end up being masterful at, or you have a passion for. Like I have such a passion for what I do now, but what everyone says is like finding your passion. They expect it to be this magical moment, this TV moment, this movie moment where everything falls into place, and they're natural talents to do this one thing, and they're better than everyone at it. But the thing is, you're only passionate about the things you're good at, and you're only good at the things that you do for a long time, and you stuck at first. So yeah, you got to grow on these things. You got to realize what you enjoy, but then you have to accept you're going to be bad at things. You have to go through that. It's like that discipline, doing that whole point that it's hard. So you don't become passionate about something unless you can go past that stage of plateau, of not progressing as much as it's more discipline you need than motivation, right?
That's so true, man. That's so good, brother. I wanted to ask you about your group and the people that you mentor, because I'm sure you get a great, you're able to see what works, what doesn't work. I'm curious for you and your program and who you coach, your top high ticket salesperson. What characteristics, personality, what do they possess? What is the high ticket sales people that are like the top of the top? What do they possess?
There's always one thing above all, and that is consistency. Because we've had people in here who have had sales experience. They come, a higher level than others, and they've fallen flat and quit. flat out quit. I've had people in here, I've had 2 specifically I can remember, and I'm very cautious about taking these people in now. They were already earning around 5 figures a month, if not a little bit under, and sometimes touching 10K a month in a corporate sales job. And the point of joining me is that I can get them to not only probably earn a little bit more, but probably working half the time at least doing that. But because they come in with this comfort mindset, that when you work a sales job, like a lot of things are given to you, like guaranteed salary, sick pay, holiday pay. And when you have to put yourself through this hard path, you only change when the pain of staying the same outweighs the pain of the change. Right. But when your new biggest pain is that change, then you default back to comfort. But when you get people who are in an already pretty extreme painful position, they've got no choice but to make this work. They always give it what it takes, but it's always the consistency. The people I see turn up in my group calls, the people who ask me questions, the people that I always say, like, if you're not annoying me, you're not using a mentorship correctly. You need to be bugging me as much as you can do. And the ones who are always asking questions, they're always showing up. And the ones who hold themselves accountable for doing that, not me. Like if I haven't checked in on them this week, then it's my issue that they're not succeeding. It's like, no, it doesn't work like that, I'm afraid. Right. Like I'm telling you, I'm here for you in any capacity I can be. And I do check in with people weekly, but don't wait for that. If you have a question, don't wait 7 days for me to now check in with you. You need to be chasing me down. I make it number 1 rule from day one. So I know that they know this information. But for context on that, and as an exact example, one of the most amazing people I've worked with is a woman called Lisa, who was 48 years old. She hadn't even worked in 20 years. And she went into a local, town, like handing in resumes and, barely got an interview. But she needed to step up and provide for her kids. Probably the purest motive there is. So when she joined me, I told her, look, it's going to take you longer to get placed. Usually I place people in 90 days, but I'm probably going to need double for you. And yeah, it took her 6 months to get placed, but she stuck to that path, learning this new, like high level skill as well. For 6 months, she got into her offer. And now she is a year in, and I think she's anywhere between 6 to 8K a month. But doing that in a year, when you haven't worked in 20 years,
impressive.
Is a testament to that consistency and that effort. And she always applied everything we taught her. And then we have other people that, Joe is one of my favorite. So Joe was already a salesman. I think he went through my entire course in 3 weeks when most people take 3 months. He got placed in about 6 weeks. He did his first 10K part-time in his day job, then part-time closing, then obviously quit, done it full time. He's never really dipped under 5 figures since. But his work ethic is unquestionable. He was always in my DMs. He was always jumping on calls with me. He was always asking questions. And he's even gone on to do further courses, further mentorships, like on mindset, further sales skill. He was always looking to learn and grow, which is why he's in that position. So it's consistency at the heart. And I think if something is, again, I'm a walking cliche sometimes, but if something is important to you, you'll always find a way. If it's not, you would just continue to make excuses. And I think the people that I know I work with who don't make the excuses always find a way around. Mm-hmm. That's the one. They're the ones who always make it work, because I give them the path. Like it's so straightforward of literally just do this, and I guarantee in writing you're going to get in a role. But the ones who don't make it are the ones who just don't follow the simple path that hundreds of people have been able to follow. So it is consistency. It's not position. It's not experience. It's not what you are. It's who you are.
That's right. It's that character inside of you, which that should be encouraging for everybody listening, right? Yeah. Is the secret is consistency. You mean like to be the top, selling is just like keep on going, keep giving it effort. Like that should be so encouraging, because there's not a lot of guarantees in the world, right? But the guarantee of working hard and not giving up towards something is you actually get the results that you want.
Yeah. So true. That last bit though, not giving up. That's the only way to guarantee failure. Just give up.
Yeah.
I like that you
I'm not gonna, be successful at this. It's like, all right, just don't quit. You'll be good. Just don't have that back door.
Yeah.
I just got engaged this past weekend, and like marriage is something that's super important to us. And
Congratulations, bro.
thank you.
Yeah.
But like, there is no back door now, right? Like, there's no back door. So we're not even gonna address that there's one. We're not even gonna like believe that there's a back door. It's like, all right, well, we know this relationship is gonna become successful because there is no other option.
And that frivolous nature of commitment nowadays is why so many people fail at things. Yeah. Because there's because there's such an easy exit. Like those people who are already making good money who didn't go through because, well, if I just quit, then meh. And it's like, well, if I just get a divorce, then meh.
Right.
That attitude, this kind of like the entitlement that's nowadays that's prevalent. That kind of, well, if it doesn't work out, then like I think people really disregard what commitment is. And, we just had someone recently who kind of, they joined, it was 100% dialed in, but then they get like a day in, it's like, oh no, I've changed my mind. Like, I want all my money back. And it's like no respect for the decision you've made, the commitment you've made, the time you've now spent with, the value that's been given. And you know what it's like. It's like any excuse that can be given to kind of get out of that. But unfortunately, this is why people don't make it.
Right. Yeah. There should be no question why people are successful and why people are not successful. All you have to do is just look around.
I also like the fact that the engagement part. Like you mentioned that guy, he's asking questions, he's actually seeking you, like he did it in a few weeks, like he's engaged. But it's also like, even biblically, like even Jesus, like he had his 12, but like he had the 3 that he brought up to the mountain with him, because those guys were always with him, always asking questions, always like, hey, what's next? Like they're trying to get to the next thing. And I think commitment and always like being engaging. Don't just show up and just be there. Show up and actually be a part of it. Want to learn. That's the key,
Yeah, just buying a course doesn't entitle you to success.
Right.
Just hiring a coach does not entitle you to success. It's not for advocate effort. It's for you to direct your effort in a better way. But you still have to be the one making that effort. Yeah. So 100% agree.
I got a question for you, because like since you're in sales, and I always talk to a lot of marketing people, what's more important to you when you're in business, sales or marketing? Both are important, but for you,
if you had to choose one,
well, sales, because you can be the best marketer on earth. You can bring people to the plate, but if the person can't convert it, then that's wasted effort. So if you have someone who's able to generate like 100% effectiveness, so there's a salesman who closes 1 out of 100 or one who closes 100%. Like if you're a marketer and you bring 1,000 people to the plate, where's your business going to be on those two things? But if you have someone who's, they can give you 1,000 people, but you only convert 1%, or someone who brings you 10 people, but you convert 100%, then of course sales wins every time.
Yeah. No, I love it, man. We ask this question. We always ask our sales guys. We always ask marketing guys that come in, and y'all are amazing, man. Y'all are just always biased. I'm waiting for the one person to be like, one salesperson be like, you know what? Actually, marketing is super important, and the marketing person be like, you know what? We like sales is more important. I'm waiting for that day, but that's super important, man. So, can you talk about it, like a transformation? Student of yours that's like just absolutely amazing, like it touched you, just like a story of like overcoming, because for us, like that's one of the greatest things that we can do. I'm sure you feel the same way, is like that transformation of that person, the change that you had or played part in to like completely changing their life. I don't know if you have any stories like that.
Well, I think Lisa's obviously one of my favorite, and that transformation was nothing short of spectacular. Joe's was also amazing. And we've had so many people with a similar story. I think Hannah was another one. She's probably my best performer. She was in high-paying corporate jobs, like 6-figure positions, and she left that because of the stress. Like you can earn all this money, but if you don't love what you do, if you don't love how you do it, then what's the point? And like she came to me after trying a few different things and was like, look, this is my last. this is like my last amount of money, my last amount of effort. And I was like, look, if you can trust me, I will absolutely do this. And she's like, if you can even give me 3-4K a month, that's enough for me to live on. I can do my athletics, things like that. But, she's got as high as like 18, 19. She's very, very rarely dipped under 10. But again, it was the transformation that she put in herself. Like, I don't help these people. I just give them the tools to help themselves,
Right.
And like when you see someone who's kind of like at that point on their last edge, and like I say, we just had so many people who have come through like that. Now we've had accountants, we've had carpenters, we've had warehouse workers, call center workers. Doesn't necessarily just mean salesmen. I mean, the salespeople always do better, quicker, 90% of the time, because obviously they've got existing skills. But that's what I say to them is like, look, if you're going to let a warehouse worker come through and beat you, actually put the work in, hey, that's absolutely fine. But yeah, we've had such amazing transformation stories. But yeah, I'd love to hear some of your guys as well.
Yeah, man. Well, we actually just got into coaching probably about a month ago. So we have a few different clients right now, and already, like, that's been one of the coolest things is just to see those initial transformations, even transformations for things that aren't a part of the offer. Like we look at it, if you come through our coaching program, yeah, we're helping you build your business to 6 figures and providing you all those tools. But we look at it as like family, like we call our community like the Crowned family. And so like we're there for people in that way that kind of goes beyond our offer. And we have the capacity to do that right now. But like, one of our clients is like going through this fitness journey and like super motivated and dedicated and like continues to check in with us. Again, it's not even part of our offer, but when you come through with us, like we genuinely care about all aspects of you. So we have this questionnaire that poses some questions. And so he shared with us that like fitness is something that he wants to get better at. And we've been keeping him accountable to that. And like, he's engaged, he's fired up about that. And, so even just the aspects outside of our offer, just seeing people, when you make that decision, right? Because how you do one thing is how you do all things, right?
Yeah,
or a reflection of how you do all things.
Yeah.
And so to see somebody get excited from that precipice point being like, hey, I'm excited about my future because, I'm going to now get those results if I do what Joel and Joseph are saying. Now they're so excited. They're having that whole body, that whole mind concept transformation. And, if that's how we can make people's lives better, then we're here for that, man. Like that's all Joel and I care about is the kingdom. We're God motivated, and we genuinely care about like people's lives and making it better,
Yeah, well, I think they go hand in hand, and like you say, we get fooled into thinking that we either have this or that, but most of the time, again, how you show up in one thing is how you show up in everything. Yeah. So the times where I've been in the best shape is when my business performs the best.
Yeah.
Mine's when I have the best relationships is when my health and my fitness are on the same level of consistency, discipline, all of those things, because it comes down to the same thing every time. It's just, is that consistent effort.
Right.
So we all have like in everything like that's important to us. And again, that's why I love the industry we operate in. It's health, wealth, relationships. But what's the key to a happy life? Health, wealth, relationships. If you have 2 of those things at an incredibly high level, but you're missing one, you're going to be miserable. If you have an amazing wife, you have an amazing job, but your health is bad, what's going to happen? Or if you have the 6-figure income and a 6-pack, but no one to share it with, what is that? So,
right, yeah,
100%. Like all these things come down to the same principle: consistent effort over time.
Absolutely, man. And I even think like having God in there is absolutely important, because a lot of times those things that we mentioned that we like chase after, like here in the world, like that's motivating to us. A lot of times can be vices for other people, and they put it. I think everybody and we've talked about this on our podcast a few different times, but like we all have a hole in our heart, and we try to put a bunch of different things thinking they're going to fit in our heart. But if you don't, like, it's a hole that can only be filled by God. And until that hole is filled by God, then you're going to be putting all those different things in that hole. When you have those three things and then have that faith, again, this is Joseph Honey says personal opinion. If anybody out there is listening to this, hey, it's all good. But if you put God in there, man, there's nothing better, because you have that wisdom, you have that discernment. You're not perfect, but you have all the things that are going to bring you joy in your life, right?
But it's the anchor, right? It's the anchor in which all of those things sit. It's the inner purpose that keeps you on track for all of those things. And I think that is different for different people. For some people, it's faith. For some people, it's self, like some people are very, self-indulged, and it is just about faith. But some people, it's family. Like everything they do is for their family. Some people it's community. Some people it's more of these things. So I think you're right. You have to have that anchor that kind of keeps you grounded to work through those moments where you should, but you don't want to, because it's success in everything. You're going to have a lot of those moments.
Exactly.
Like a lot of those moments.
Exactly. I got a question. You being in the UK, we're here in the US, capitalism, capitalist society, right? Like, can you guys still see me? My camera, I think, just died.
No,
we still got it.
Okay. All right.
All right. As we said, we still see you. Now it jumped out.
No, it died.
Go ahead, Joel. I'll ask this question here in just a little bit. I'm trying to get everything else.
You're good. I have a question. Not a question, but I know you have. I don't know if you have a book yet, or you have. I know through your program you do have nuggets. You have tools that you give. Yeah. Is there something? I know I don't want to give it away, but is there a couple of things you can share with our audience, like some nuggets that you can give to them about sales?
About sales specifically, I think one of the biggest mindset shifts that my guys go through that turns them into robotic script readers to actual new age salespeople is when you change your agenda coming into the call. If you come in there with the agenda of selling, then you are going to miss the most vital bits of information that matter to the person you're speaking to. But if you come in with an agenda of, right, can I even help this person? Then you will ask better questions, you will pick up more information, you will connect deeper, and you will get to the root of why this person even wants to make a change, which is the only thing that's going to allow them to change. So you need to stop coming into these sales conversations with sales at the forefront. And to give you a story of how powerful this was, when I was closing for my first offer, I had 6 years corporate experience, so I wasn't new to sales. But I wasn't amazing at sales either. I'd never been taught how to sell. In corporate sales, they don't teach you how to sell. They just say, this is what we sell. Now go out there and sell it. So, I could communicate. I could have good conversations with people, but it was very much about me. And then when I was brought in to be the coach as well, I was closing people and then I had to coach them. I ran into this problem of people I probably shouldn't have sold to. But, my agenda was to obviously sell as much as possible. And then I had to coach them and spend time with them. And it was so much of a headache. Like I was like, you know what? I don't even want to earn this money. I don't even want to coach these people, because who does it benefit? Like a couple £100 doesn't change my life. But dealing with this person I know I can't help, and it's really awkward for everyone, it does. So I started to disqualify people. I started to take what I now call the scientific approach. If, when we're in science, when we have something to prove, we don't try and prove it, we try and disprove it. If I've got a hypothesis, I try and disprove it, and that's how I prove that it's valid. And I use the exact same method when I'm on that first initial part of the call with someone. I'm not there to try and prove that they're great for me and then to twist anything they say to make it work. I'm almost there to disprove that this is the right fit for them, because I genuinely want it to be the right fit. And then, funnily enough, when I started doing that, I started to close more, and I also started to coach people better. When they came to me, they had clearer expectations of what the process was and what they needed to give to see success in it. Rather than me just selling them a dream, them expecting it was very low effort on their side, and then everything was going to be okay just because they signed up. And then I started to be like, well, look, if you don't understand that we're going to need 15 hours a week from you, then this ain't going to be the right fit. Or time's a bit of an issue. I was like, well, I'm afraid, man. Like, what do you think building a business is? Do you think that getting to 10K a month with an agency is just going to kind of happen. Like, come on, man, what do we expect? And I was like, oh, I guess I can. And I was like, well, yeah, look, at the end of the day, I'm confident that you've got the right skills here, that we're going to be able to teach you, but I need you to be able to give that. Is that something you can do? Yeah. And what happens when I coach these people? They give me the time that's needed to actually make them build an agency, make them sell, sign a client. And it's the same principle I obviously applied to my program. As I say, if you can't give this to me, then I can't help you, because I have a guarantee in writing that I will. So if you can't give in the bare minimum, then again, what do you expect? If you think is earning 10K a month is as easy as just 3-4 hours a week in something, then you need to really address your belief system here. So have that agenda of genuinely trying to help people, and you will have much better conversations.
Yeah, no, I love that disqualification. That kind of remind me that. I mean, I kind of use that as well, and that's more successful. Sometimes you forget, so you just give me a nugget to remember. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, no. What I was going to ask before my camera had died on me is, here in America, we're a capitalist society, which I love, right? Like, there's no ceiling, but people always forget to mention that there's no floor either. So, it can be hard sometimes trying to make it, right? But we live in a great era where there's so much access to information, tools, AI, to really get the life that we want to, right? And I'm curious as what the temperature of like entrepreneurship is in the United Kingdom. Is it high right now? Like in America, it's weird. It's like entrepreneurs like kind of rule everything. They're like the influencers now.
Yeah.
They're the decision makers in America, right? They have a lot of influence. They're like, for us growing up, we wanted to be basketball stars. But I think now, like, I would want to be an entrepreneur because of Instagram, right? Is it like that in the UK?
I think it's very, very similar. I think that our rule set is slightly different. And I think the UK culture on success is a mentality of crabs in a bucket sometimes. And I think that's the hardest thing about the UK. I was often told that, in America, you got to spot a bullshitter. In the UK, you got to spot the cynic. We are naturally very cynical. And, when we say, when we say crabs in a bucket, like literally when a fisherman goes to fish crabs, they don't have to put a bucket over the top. Every time one tries to climb out, the rest of them will pull it down. And that's unfortunately a lot of the time the mentality of UK in entrepreneurship is that people don't want to see people do well, or they do as long as it's not as well as them. And I think sometimes in America, it does feel a lot more supportive and a lot more positive. And sometimes us in the UK, feel that it's quite fake because maybe we're not even used to that stuff. But I'd certainly like to be in environments where people were overly enthusiastic than overly pessimistic. So I think that is a big dividing line between both cultures. But, we are essentially a capitalist society, although we do have a bit of a socialist government in place at the moment that's causing a lot of divide, causing a lot of problems. But unfortunately, I think this is the biggest problem I see in all Western worlds at the moment, is the amount of divide. I don't think there's ever been a time with such divide. So and there is no perfect system as well. I believe in individuality, but I also believe in equality of opportunity, that we should all have the same opportunity to go out there and get after it and do things, and unfortunately we don't. But a socialist government will see opportunity of outcome. Everyone should have the exact same, and I couldn't disagree more with a society fixed like that. So I think that we are close but not exactly the same. I think there is a bit more of a pessimistic attitude here, and I don't think is as popular. Like when I speak to people in the UK, a question I always ask them is, how's your environment? And nearly every single time it's like, well, my friends, I always say that, no, I shouldn't do that. And I had someone the other day who bought, and then he was like really worried because all of his workmates said, oh, it's a scam. Oh, it's never going to work. Why would you spend, 5K of your money on something like that? And it's like, they can't conceptualize pouring money into something that's going to improve their life. Unfortunately, the culture here is you pour your money into things where you cope with your life, not improve it. And, it's something I'm going to war at a little bit at the moment. And it's definitely something I haven't heard before. It's like, I think I'm going to war with holidays. I don't agree with them. because they're expensive things to keep you stuck, because they cost a lot of money. And what are they for? What's a holiday for? Like, I haven't had more than 3 days off in 4 years because I don't really need it. I've traveled the world, and I've always done a little bit of work, like nearly every day, and that's because I enjoy what I do. And
Yeah.
not being able to do that for an extended period of time, that is what I don't want to do. But if you have to spend all of your remaining money on escaping your life for 2 weeks, just enough that you get just enough of a break, you can then stomach another year of it.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
a broken system.
Oh, yes, man.
Imagine if you spent the 2K on holiday on a course or on a business or on yourself in a fitness program to elevate yourself in your life.
Yeah.
But that's the strange thing now, though, that is the weird thing, and that's something that doesn't make sense to me.
And you know what though? Like, I'm totally okay with that, because someone's got to make the fries, right? And I mean that in the best way possible. Like, there's a place for everybody in society, which is great. But a lot of the times, the results that all of us are living in, we could actually have greater results. We're the ones that hold ourselves back, right?
Yeah.
So, like, even for yourself, or even us, right? Like, we're at a good position, but there's still something there that's holding us back.
So much room to grow.
So yeah, man. Do you have any? If you could just take a second, tell everybody where they can find you. If you have a book out, if you have a course out, your offer. I want this to be your moment to connect with the audience, and then tell them what you got going on.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. Well, yeah, you can find me mainly on Instagram. My tag is at Mr. Connor Williams, CONNOR. My offer, what I do is I help people to become very successful high-ticket closers, usually people stuck in a day job or in a sales job where they're underpaid, overworked, and undervalued. So the route to become a closer, where you can make 5 figures plus, you can work 4 to 6 hours a day, you do it completely remotely, that is what lies on the other side. But it is with the full acknowledgement of that isn't going to happen overnight. I can get someone to roll in 90 days usually, but there's a hard bit of work that goes into that 90 days. It's mostly on yourself. It's mostly transforming the mindset, but that's what I do as a mentor. I don't just teach people sales. I help them become successful entrepreneurs, which is mostly about elevating themselves.
Yep.
So book on the cards. It's a lengthy thing to write. So definitely YouTube recently started as well. So Connor Williams on YouTube, or the link is in my Instagram where you can check out more of what I do.
Man, I love it. Joel, do you have any last questions before we end it? Or
I just kind of going off what he said about like collaborations and how everything is done in the UK and in America. That's kind of the reason why we created Crown. We created Crown for that reason, because a lot of times people are not around the right community. They get discouraged, or they have bad collaborations, they have bad partnerships, they get burned, people steal. So we created Crown so we can make like a healthier community of that, but keep faith in the aspect, because that's the anchor, and then bring business into it, have the right connections, have the right family, have the right partnerships. And so in America we go through that too. It's not as much, I would say, like UK, but that's kind of the reason why we created Crown, is to
I love that, man. Love that.
And man, y'all got Simon Squibb out there. I feel like he brings enough happiness to everyone in the UK.
Yeah, well, we got some great people here. It's not all doom and gloom. Like you guys, that's what we're trying to bring. That's what we're trying to create, as much kind of community sense, as much kind of support for each other. And, that's what I'll continue to do as I grow.
Yeah, man, we are the light, right? If we want a better society, it's up to us. So, man, again, thank you, Connor, for the time that you spent with us, brother. Like, you dropped some amazing gems. Story was amazing. We know that time is something that we can't ever get back, so we appreciate you spending it with us. How we always close out our – say it again?
It was time well spent. Appreciate you both.
Absolutely, man. How we close out our podcast is we always have our guests pray us out. So I don't know how big you are on praying in public and things like that. If you're open to it, I'll go ahead. You get into it. But if you're not, I'll pick it up for you and I'll take it.
Of course, man. Like I said, I was raised Christian, but I haven't practiced in a long time. It's definitely not as a bigger thing out here. Like I said, my friend got back and he got into God and religion, and it was like, wow, like okay, these things do exist in the UK. But hey, like I'm here, like of course. So just give me some guidance on how this done properly.
Man, just share what's on your heart. Yeah, just share what's on your heart, what you're passionate about, what you want God to work on your life, other people's lives, and yeah, man, I just say whatever comes to your heart.
There's no right way, man.
Guidance, man.
That's not what we're talking
I like that. Let's do this.
Good.
Okay, so take the moment to realize how blessed I and a lot of people are to be surrounded by good people, and knowing that there are others out there who support the same values, the same morals, the same ethics as I do is a continued thing that I will not take for granted.
Let's go, man. Absolutely, man. I love that. Association is everything. Association lifts us higher, and if we have those things that root us and bring us together, that's the most important thing. And we get to go and choose how we want to, live life and operate with it, man. So thank you, Connor. We appreciate you, man. And this has been another episode of the CROWNEDCAST Podcast. We will see y'all next time.